everything that...
Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to another Good Cop, Bad Cop show with me and Sangiita. No, that's not the title.
Well, that is the subtitle. Now everybody knows about Let's Talk About It. So now we're just going to use our subtitle. So welcome to Good Cop, Bad Cop. And today we're talking about, are you a ghost whisperer? Well, if you're here, chances are... What, Ryan? Chances are they are or they're not?
I think they will never claim their ability about entities. So I would say it's a no for them.
All right. So you're not a ghost whisperer. So all of you who are here for us to validate whether you're a ghost whisperer or not, wrong show.
Yes. So, so I just want to say, I think I want to like set the frame of this class. I don't really want to go into all the other entities question because entities is a huge topic. But let's make it tonight about the ability that you have that you never acknowledge for whatever reason. Maybe you don't want to scare people around you. But we will share our experience, how it looks like or how it feels like, because it can be very different for everyone. So, Sangiita, are you a ghost whisperer?
Oh, totally. Ghost whisperer, ghost screamer, ghost shouter, all of it.
If you say no, if you say you are not a ghost whisperer, I'm going to tell Shannon, like, Shannon, Sangiita, one of your Talk to the Entities facilitator, she finally admits she's not a ghost whisperer.
I think I'm a ghost, period.
Oh yes, it's true. We are all entities, by the way. So for all of you, in case you have no idea what is an entity, we are talking about ghost. You are a ghost as well. If you are so afraid of ghosts, one day you will be a ghost. So while you are still alive, you better get rid of your fear of entities. Otherwise, when you are dead, when you are an entity, you are so afraid of yourself. Did I explain that clearly? So Sangiita and I, we do these classes and called Talk to the Entities. So apparently we are ghost whisperers. But for me, myself, I never acknowledged this part of me. In fact, I didn't even believe in ghosts many years ago. It wasn't just a normal disbelief, but it was actually a resistance. I actually hate that. When I look at people around me, I was like, you are so full of shit. You're living in fear with all the lies, superstitious. I was like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. So I was like, I don't believe in ghosts, but if ghost is real, so what? It has nothing to do with me. So I completely not completely, I tried to shut it off, but you know, if you have this ability, you can never truly 100% shut it off. Once in a while, it still reminds you, hey. So it's only when I came to access and finally I was willing to admit that, I was willing to acknowledge, okay, I do have this strange ability. I talk to ghosts. And so that's my beginning. What about you, Sangiita?
Same here, Ryan. Actually, I knew as a kid, I had a knowing that I had access to a very different world. But because there was no one explaining to me what it was, I was very comfortable. I still am more comfortable with ghosts and spirits than with people. And when I was younger, I used to avoid people so much, and I still never felt alone or lonely because I had like so many beings talking to me. It didn't look like talking, but I know that I was in continuous conversation with them. But as I grew up, and like I remember as a kid, my most favorite time would be, I grew up in Indonesia, so when we had the rains, the electricity would go off. And when the grid would fall, you know, like, and it would be pitch dark. And I would like, that would excite me so much. Like when it was totally dark, And I never felt scared. It was, in fact, one of the times when I would actually just dance because nobody could see me dancing at that time. And I would be so excited and so happy. But because of certain incidences that happened when I was growing up, like I lost my parents when I was very young. So everybody thought that that was like weird, that I'm like so joyous when it's dark and that I don't like people. And they just kind of lumped it to maybe she's depressed, maybe she's you know, sad or whatever that is. And so they started like making that wrong about me, that like it's not right, it's not. So I was actually sent away to hostel to study, which is like a boarding school away from home, because they thought that if I was away from home, then maybe I would be a forced entrainment to deal with people and be make friends and all of that. And I think in the bargain, I also, like when I was in school and stuff, like that the boarding school they sent me had so many entities, and I was so freaking aware, but I couldn't talk about it to anyone because as it is, they thought I was weird, you know. So I think that that capacity sort of shut down for a really long time till I came to Access. But I always knew that there was something there. I used to love watching these movies. I used to love reading those books. I was like, I knew something about that world, but I couldn't tell anybody, because also, like, if you grew up in an Asian country, like you, like me, like even in India, there's so much taboo and there's so much like trauma drama around this, that if you said that you can see something or you can hear something, you know, think you're cuckoo in the head, right? So it was not something that I could express. However, when I came into Access was when I did my first Dr. The Entity class, and it's so freaking cool that Shannon came all the way to India to do it in Mumbai. And this was like, I think 2014 or 15, I don't remember. And it was so cool being in that class, and everything she said just was like, so I was so like, yeah. However, because I grew up with so much trauma and drama, my biggest disappointment in the class was that there was nothing dramatic that occurred in the class, right? Like how we see in the movies, the exorcism, and like in India we have like rituals in the fire and like stuff like that. You'd put shit in the fire like to get a spirit to leave, or you had to be like, or you had to call like a someone called a tantric, you know, and he would wear black clothes and or yellow robes, or none of that happened. I think that was my biggest disappointment, that it was so easy to clear. And in fact, it was the the simplicity, I think, was so beyond what I was expecting, that for a whole year till I did my second class, I didn't use the tools at all. Like I just totally dismissed it till I couldn't dismiss it anymore, till I just couldn't. Because when you have a capacity, it will kind of poke you and ping at you and poke you and ping at you and put you into these places and into these situations where you finally have to go like, okay, fine, you know. So I think that's what happened to me. And then I was like, okay, cool, okay, fine, I have this capacity, let me just say yes and let me jump into it. But you know, so interesting, Ryan, the minute I said yes to my capacity, what became available to me was like, freak, I don't even know how to put it in words, but one of the things, and I wrote that as our invite for a upcoming class as well, was the one thing that I took away was the one thing that I lost while I was growing up, and for whatever reason I created that, was the ability to trust me, because everybody told me how crazy I am, how I'm depressed and how I'm upset, that I gave up my awareness. And when you do something like a talk to the entities, the first thing you have to acknowledge, claim, and own is your trust in you, because without that you can't do this work. And what that translated
Yes.
into was my trust in me in areas outside of this, like with my relationships, with my money, with my family, with everything outside of me, with my body. And honestly, like I don't know how to put it like linearly. I'm not going to say that, oh, I chose A and then B happened, C happened, D happened. But over a period of time, the ease, because I chose to trust myself, started filtering every area of my life. My money flows increased, my relationships got better, my body changed, my face changed. It was insane, the kind of changes that I experienced, yeah, and still continue to experience. Yeah.
Cool. Wow. And by the way, I just want to say that you know your curtain behind you, it keeps moving. I was
So
like,
it's
do
just
you
like an
have a
entity, right? I like that's like a purpose trailer for this class. Like, ooh, you know, I can be comfortable with entities, but actually, it's just the air condition that's making it move.
no, you shouldn't explain it. You should just leave it that way. It's like, no, there's
No,
no
but it's a good. But you say it's a good ploy. You see, it's because without a little bit of drama, it doesn't work, honey. Like, it's so simple. No drama, no trauma, no fun.
yeah. uh,
But
yeah.
Ryan,
So
you remember the last time we had this like little conversation around entities? You shared this really amazing story about your grandmom and
uh-huh.
that whole thing of, you know, you should get married. Would you tell
Yeah.
us again? Like, oh my God, I love that story.
So um, so for all of you here, if this topic, if you're interested in it, you actually have capacity in this area, even though you might still don't want to acknowledge it or you're still in doubt, that's a different story. But you actually have this knowing and you have been following your knowing and you found this class, okay? Or maybe you found this YouTube when I upload it later. Now, uh, if you are not willing to acknowledge it, when you actually hear entity talking to you, you will judge you. You will be like, okay, am I making it up? Okay, am I crazy? No, it's not supposed to. Okay, so what if you were not crazy? What if it was for real? Okay, so what Sangeeta was asking me was somewhere last year, and that moment actually I was feeling very down. I was like, okay, my whole world it was collapsing. Okay, I didn't know what happened. So see, this could be a symptom of when entity want to communicate with you, and if you refuse, because whenever you want to refuse and reject that, basically what you are really rejecting is part of you. So if you are a ghost whisperer and you don't want to hear the message from entities, you have to use your energy, turn inward against you to cut off your abilities to hide it. So for all of you, everywhere that you have been doing that, how much energy have you been using to hide your capacities? And what damage have that what damage have you done to your body, your financial flow, and your relationship with that? Everything that is times a gazillion will not destroy and create it all.
Yes, right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all nine shots, boys, and
Ooh,
beyonds. Yeah,
ow, ooh,
I
ow,
loved
ooh,
what you
ow.
said about. I loved what you said about when you have a capacity and you resist it is when you
Mm-hmm.
create crap, which can look
Yes.
like which can look like upset, it can look like depression, it can look like pain in the body, it can look like
Yep. Yep.
a problem in your life, in any area of your life as
Mm-hmm.
well, right? That is
Yes.
so
So
freaking cool.
so it was last year. I still remember this. I keep getting this awareness that I need to find Shannon. I need to ask her for a private session. So and then it makes my world go crazier. I was like, why do I? Okay, I've been crazy enough. Now I need another session. Like for what? So, but I trust my awareness. I paid Shannon and asked for a session. And during that session, or maybe 30 minutes before the session, okay, some very around that time, and this entity show up like right in front of me. Sometimes I see entities, sometimes I don't. And in that case, in that situation, I saw it, and then I was like, "Whoa, who are you?" And then she was like, "Your grandma. Hello, hi." And I was like, "Whoa, okay, what's going on?" I I haven't seen her because she passed away like really long time ago, at least 10 plus years ago. I had not thought of her in so many years. So that was totally a surprise. So when something like this happened, so let's say if you sign up for a class and before a class something like that show up, you know it has something to do with the class. when I paid for the session, and before that session it showed up, it definitely has something to do with that session. So I asked Shannon, like, Shannon, well, my grandma is here as well. Hi. So, and then we got the message. I got the message. So I think Shannon was facilitating me, guiding me, and then I got the message like, oh wow, she want me to get married, and then I was like, surprise, shock, reject, everything all together. I was like, no fucking way. All right. But if I keep on resisting and rejecting, well, my grandma would be, my grandma, I believe she is equally as stubborn as me. That will not make her go away. Like if your mom wants you to do something and if you keep rejecting, your mom will nag you non-stop. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, right? So especially with entities, they can come at any time. So that they don't have the limitation with time anymore. They are like, hey, get married, like every day. That's definitely not what I want. So I had to deal with that. See, if there is an entity that come to you and it has something to do with you, a communication is required. You have no other choice. You have to deal with that. Or of course, the other choice that you have is you keep on rejecting and your life keeps on like being damaged by your stubbornness and your resistance. Okay, so luckily I had Shannon guiding me, and we turned that situation. Okay, let me share a bit more detail of that. So Shannon facilitated me to manipulate my grandmother. Okay, so my grandmother. So this is her job. I mean, as a Asian woman, so she had the job. Well, I should say she has the job. She still have it. She has the job to make sure that the children get married and the grandchildren get married and the grandchildren get married, right? So all she cared is that job get done. She never cared about, do I want it or not? She never cared about, will I be happy or not? Okay. And how Shannon guided me to do that manipulation was like, if she doesn't care about me, how should I say it? It's like, then she is not being a good grandmother. Okay, put it this way. So if she doesn't, so she cared about her job as a grandmother, and she thought that her job is to make the children and grandchildren get married. And now we sort of like change it a little bit. We define it like, okay, if you don't care about Ryan's happiness, you are not a good grandmother. Hey. So, so this is not the full story, but this is the easiest way for me to give you this information. Because that session, it was a bit longer than this. And that was enough to deal with her. She was like, okay, now I have to make sure you are happier as well. Okay, to prove I'm a good grandmother. And that changed everything. And since that day onwards, I haven't seen her yet so far. Okay, so why did you ask me this story?
So because we don't realize it, but like our ancestors have such a big role to play. Like there are, like when you hear, there are so many things that in your head that go like a voice in your head, and we don't even realize it, like who's saying it. We think it's all us. So and India, Asia, countries in Asia, they're like so big. We really still honor our ancestors, and there are so many. I know in India that once a year we have like huge prayers for our ancestors, so we don't let them go. And it's so wonderful how the Talk to the Entities has like changed my perspective over it, and how using the tools I've also been able to bring about that change in my family. Even though like I live with my in-laws, and my in-laws, my mother-in-law especially, she could never sleep at night because she would dream about all the ancestors. She would dream about her mother-in-law, her mother-in-law's mother-in-law all the time, you know. And when I made her aware of the fact that you're not just dreaming about it, they're really trying to communicate with you, and how she just like gave so much importance to them, And it was like she was living her life. Even when they were not in her body, she was still doing everything to please them. Like she would get a dream that one of them is asking for new sandals. She would actually go and buy them, but there is no one to wear it. It's a little crazy, but she would, because she was like, that's how, I mean, they get pleased because of that. So when I like talked about this and I shared these just little information about it, not only did she start sleeping better, like she stopped getting all these dreams. And it's like, it was the first time in so many years she could actually ask like, oh, what would I like in my life? I thought that was huge because, we're trained to please our elders all the time. And I'm sure that's true of like most Asian countries. Because in India, no matter how old you get, you're still staying with your parents and they're staying with their parents. So there is this continuity that's going on, and it's so crazy. And that's not all it stops. This topic is so vast. And one of the things that I wanted to share was that, like in my case, when I learned to trust what I knew in the spirit world, I began to trust what I knew in this reality, and I began to make better choices for myself because I was trusting me. And so many other things opened up as I became vulnerable in the spirit world, and I was willing to receive information. I was also willing to receive what was going on here in people's head, and like it kind of amped up my awareness, and I was able to like use that information to my advantage. And as I also began learning how to receive from the spirit world, which is still a continuous process, I will not say I'm 100% there. When I learned to receive, I also, there were so many aspects of my life here that changed. Like, I was the kind of person who would do everything by herself, even if it killed me. And as I practiced my receiving muscle there, today I'm like a princess in my house. I don't do anything. I don't even lift a glass. But that was not my reality. Like, I would not be able to do that. If I lift a glass, it's because I want to. Before, it was because I had to. I couldn't let anybody else do it. If somebody tried to do something nice for me, it would like create such a chaos in my world, like havoc. I didn't know how to receive. And at the same time, I would also be like, why do I have to do everything myself? Right? But as I like practiced my muscle there, and also as I started getting more effective in the real world, I also began to get more effective in the spirit world. It's like it is so connected, and it is not separate. It's like that world and this world is not separate. And there are more, and it blasted my universe when I got to know that there are more beings without bodies on the planet than beings with bodies. And even now, at any given point of time, there are 5 butts that are attached to you. That was the most hilarious thing I heard, that there are 5 energetic butts that are still attached to you, because there are like so many beings without bodies. And when I got married, there was a phase in my life where I got diagnosed with bipolar, and I was on medications for so long. And when I claim, owned, and acknowledge my capacity with entities, like 99% of those symptoms were not mine. Like, I did not really require those medications that I was on. That was phenomenal. That changed so much in my world and my being. So I'm wondering what everyone on the call that is a ghost whisperer, has this capacity, and has not claimed, owned, and acknowledged it, in all the ways that you've perverted this capacity and are using it against yourself, can we please destroy and uncreate all of that? Right and wrong, good and bad.
Right, wrong, good and bad, talk and part, and trust and beyond.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, you mentioned quite a few things here, but if I could add a few things to, it's like, you see, you said in India, like everyone stay together, that including the ancestors that have passed away. When they pass away, they no longer have a body. It doesn't mean they go away. If they are still with you and you are still holding on to them or relying on them, okay? Like, and you also mentioned that you were like you wouldn't allow other people to contribute to you. And guess what? You wouldn't allow, if you're still holding on to that, you wouldn't allow entities to contribute to you as well.
Yeah.
So communicating with entities, dealing with entities, interacting with them, is basically the same like you are talking to a real person. If you cannot allow a real person to contribute to you, you will probably reject an entity contribution as well. And this is how we keep our life so small, so stark. Can you imagine if you would allow entities to contribute to you? There are tons of entities out there. Not all of them will or want to contribute to you, but there are definitely some. For whatever reason, maybe just because you are cute, maybe. And
I'll take that.
but me too. So
interestingly, Ryan, I know we've like totally deep dived into like our journeys with entities and all, but like what if, like, I wonder what everybody on this call, what are entities for them? Like, I wonder what they've decided entities are. Like, if anybody would like to put it in the chat, or anybody would like to just like open out like there and just speak about it, like, what do you think entities are?
well, the most common answer would be ghost, scary ghost, evil,
Spirits.
spirit,
Yeah.
demon.
Like, especially the disembodied ones, which are like ugly and like bleeding from one side and like,
yeah, maybe with the tongue coming out.
yeah,
Right?
oh, like with a planchette ready to like cut your.
So, but now someone, so some people are texting me, yes, they are just a being. Beings without bodies, yes, that's definitely correct.
Angels, ancestors, that's true too.
So, well, okay. Some beings without bodies, I have not encountered yet though. How can you not encounter? Okay.
So have you not encountered
okay,
them?
I need, let me play the bad cop. Let me play the bad cop.
Okay, done.
So, well, how should I play it? How mean should I be? Like, it's not possible for you to not encounter an entity unless you own the whole fucking planet Earth. Okay? So it just doesn't show up the way you thought it should or would. Okay, so this is our expectation of what entities are and are not, how they will show up, when they will show up, how they will not show up, how they should look like. And when they show up in a different way, that doesn't match your point of view, you will not think that's a entity communication. So let me give you a very quick example. In my Talk to the Entities class, we practice clearing the entities, not just for ourselves, but for like the environment around us as well. Every time when I did that, the whole space became totally quiet. So, you know, I don't mean like physical, real noise, but inside your head, even right now, all of you, I can sense that in your mind, there are like million thoughts going on. So you might consider that as, you might think that they are your mind chatter, they are, that's just your crazy thoughts, you have a monkey mind. I don't actually think that's a monkey mind, I think you have a King Kong mind. You know, monkey is so small, King Kong is, oh, okay, I think you have a King Kong mind, okay? So you have 1,000 King Kong inside your head. That's and every time when we did the entity clearing exercise to clear the space all around us, everyone into the space of like just quiet. And then they realize, wow, in my head, all the monkeys and King Kongs in my head, they disappear. When that happened, they realized, oh my God, those noises, they belong to entities. I didn't recognize, I didn't realize that. But now after, you see, it's logical. Once I clear it, suddenly my mind is empty. Then I know those noises in my mind before it's entities communication. Just that
So
it's something that you don't.
So you mean to say that when we ask like who does this belong to, it's not always another person, it could also be an entity, right? Like that's why we ask, is it yours, someone else, or something else?
Well, yes, it include entities. I can give you another example. So this is something long time ago. I had a point of view about money. And it was a really limiting point of view. I tried everything I could to change it. I poke and pot it. No. I asked who does that belong to. Nothing changed. And then one day in an access class, I asked the facilitator. I was like, I had this limiting point of view. I have been trying to change it for so long. It didn't change. And that CF asked me, so do you have an entity? I was like, oh fuck. My whole world become lighter, like, oh, that's what it is. And that entity, it was one of my ancestors. See, ancestors, we would think that ancestors, they will take care of you, they are part of your family, they should be good. Yes and no, okay? It might or it might not. But even though they care about you, they try to contribute to you, it doesn't mean they are totally smart. They have their financial limitations. Ask yourself, did your parents or grandparents or your ancestors, were they great with money or were they limited with money? Okay, so one of my ancestors was limited with money and he was around me all the time. And I kept having that point of view, like, I have a problem with money. Once I got the clear awareness, it's not mine and it's not someone else's, it's actually this entity. It changed. We cleared the entity and that point of view disappeared from my universe from that point onward. Okay, so that would be an example of I heard the point of view from the entity without realizing I was communicating with the entity.
Wow.
Okay, so wow.
Yeah, wow, that opened up some stuff in my space as well. And I'm wondering, like, the areas that we've been trying to change and we've been using all the tools and we've not been able to change. Maybe it's time to also ask, like, okay, wait, is this an entity, or does this belong to an entity, or like, am I picking this up from an entity? And how cool. And like, I just wanted to add here is also like, for me, and I know for a lot of people who have done the talk to the entities, uh, entities do not only include beings without bodies. It is anything that has a consciousness of its own is an entity, which means I'm an entity, Ryan is an entity, all of you on this call is an entity. And guess what? The earth is an entity, nature is an entity. And yes, of course, angels, the gods and goddesses that you worship, all of those are also entities. But it is the willingness when once you like get rid of your fears, get rid of your point of views around this topic, and you actually are willing to clear, communicate, and receive, it is like your ability to communicate with everything amps up, not just with entities, but also your creations, even those are entities. With the future, which is also an entity. It is so insane how we think that the tools of talk to the entities are just relevant to beings without bodies, but how much opens up if you're like willing to dive into this, if you have a capacity. And if you're here, chances are you do have a capacity. And if you're willing, like the kind of things that can open up for you in terms of receiving them, communicating with them, listening to the whispers and playing with those energies, it's insane. It's insane. And like, how many of us already are doing that but don't acknowledge it?
It's like everything else you are doing that you never acknowledge.
Just like everything else. Yeah, you're right. Just like everything else, right? Like, yeah. And it's so cool because you're here, obviously a part of you, like, it excited you to be here, or you were curious, or and you wouldn't be like, at least for me it's true that I wouldn't be curious about anything unless I knew something about it, whether it was from this lifetime or another lifetime. whether it was like something that I'd explored before or not. But if it is creating any sense of excitement, curiosity, and I wonder what this is, chances are you have a capacity. You just don't know what to do with it, and you just haven't been taught what to do with it. And I haven't come across any modality that's dealt with this in such simple and straight and like such a contributive manner. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, and whatever that I talked about just now, I also want to add something to it. Like some problems in your life, it could be because of entities, not all. And I see a lot of people, they just blame everything to the entities. I have something with my body, entity's fault. I'm not
Yeah.
happy, entity's fault. Money is not coming, entity's fault. The curtain behind you is moving, entity's fault. So
This one
if you are
definitely.
doing that, let me tell you what, you are mean. You are very mean. Okay? You are mean to the entities. You just blame everything on them. And guess what? If this situation doesn't change, one day when you are an entity, that's what people will do to you. Hey, 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 congratulations. So that's why we have this program called Talk to the Entities. It's actually, according to Shannon, it's the education about entities, the real education about entities, without the lies, the superstitious, the points of view, the lies, the bullshit. Okay, so if more people get more awareness, get more clarity, and be more conscious in this area, entities will not be a problem. You will stop using entities to create problem as well, and not just not creating problem. In fact, you start to allow them to contribute to you, and your life will only get easier and easier and easier.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't blame it on the entities. Function from awareness and really ask, okay, is there an entity here? Is it because of entity or is something else? And
Yeah.
very often it's also something else. Okay, entities, they are quite innocent. Okay, a lot of entities, they are innocent, but you just keep blaming them. And
Also, I
guess what?
really,
When you keep blaming them, your life don't change.
I also want to add something like, you know, like there are so many things outside of us that we've given more power because we don't want to be the most powerful being in our life. And the one gift of the Talk to the Entities for me was having to step up and be the most dominant entity in my life. And it was like it was um, I love what you said about the education about entities. And like Shannon has this specialty call on like mental mental health and
Disorder.
entities, mental disorder and entities. And I so love the tagline. It is like, let's educate, not medicate. And I love that opened up so much for me. And for me, medication is not just about medicating your bodies, but also like how much do we like rely on something else to fix our problems as though that is the solution, instead of going into our awareness and actually going like, okay, what's really going on here? And if the awareness is around entities, this is the one class where I have received the tools to handle it without the drama, without the trauma. And any time that I have handled entities, I've only stepped up. Any times I've handled entities, I've only stepped up. There is a question in the chat that is asking, are demons entities? Yes, they are also entities. We have a separate clearing for demons. They just like there are, in the Talk to the Entity class, you will learn about all the different kind of entities that you may encounter. It deals with at least 90%. And then of course there's room for the 10% that you'll have to stretch your imagination for. But it's insane the kind of like the information that this little manual has and that the class gives you. And it prepares you to deal with almost anything that will come your way, as long as you don't you go, and even if you go to fear and doubt, it also has tools to deal with that. Like in fact, the first part of the class is dealing with all your fears and your doubts around this. And the willingness to be like, not to give your power away. Like how many of us have learned that entities have more power than us. They can harm us, they can hurt us, and it's not something that we should like indulge with, because they can take over our lives and blah 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 blah. And if you create your own life, I mean, those are some of the biggest lies that you've been like, that has been perpetrated, because nothing is more powerful than you. The only thing is you can give them more power if you're not willing to be the most powerful being in your life, right? For me, that was like the greatest gift, the willingness to be the most dominant entity. Because then it wasn't only about when I'm clearing entities or when I'm like communicating with entities. It's, am I willing to be the dominant entity in all areas of my life? Everywhere that I've given my power away to other things like the world, this reality, money, my job, my relationship, my husband, my mother-in-law, whatever that was. Like the question kept coming back to, hey, wait, am I willing to take control of this? Am I willing to be like be the dominant entity here? And if I am, then what can I do? What can I be? What can I choose? And like, yeah, for me, I did so many modalities before coming into Access. And I'm not saying that's true for everybody or it has to be true for everybody, but because it gave me such simple, practical tools, and like things began to shift so quickly in my life, that this became one of the things that I wanted to facilitate. And I just wanted you all to have that information, that when you're willing to step into this world, it is not just, it doesn't only mean you're dealing with the spirit world. It gives you tools to deal with everything in your life. Did Ryan just drop? Did we lose Ryan? Did we kill him? Uh, okay, we'll just wait and we'll just hope he will get back on. Till then, I'm gonna just open the chat to you guys. If you guys have any particular question, you want to ask something, please hop on and like just unmute yourself and go for it, or raise your hand. And I think Ryan's back. Is Ryan back? You still get to ask your, oh yeah, Ryan is coming on. You still get to ask your question, guys. Oh, I feel incomplete without Ryan. Fucking pod. My partner in crime. Do you guys have any questions? I'm just going to go through the chat in case anybody has. How can we take help of entities to expand our lives? Okay. So entities can contribute to expanding your life if you ask them. However, there are a couple of things that you want to see. You want to know who you're asking, because it's interesting. But if you ask someone who, like Ryan said, his ancestors were not very good with money, so it's, in that case, taking help from them would just be fooling yourself, because you want to ask from those that have the capacity to contribute to you. And it's contribution, it's not help, because you're not helpless. You're an infinite being. You don't require help. Okay, so everywhere you think you require help, and everywhere you've also decided that entities are more powerful, more knowledgeable, and that you need help from them. And it's also an entrainment we've got, like this is how we pray to God to help us. Can we please destroy and uncreate all of that? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shots, poison. And isn't it interesting though how contradictory it is? Because like, I think the Bible says, ask and you shall receive. I think there are things, there are books that says God helps those who help themselves. I know that my scripture says that be so present and so potent that when you ask for something, the entire universe has to conspire to get it for you, to get it to you, not for you, but to you. So everywhere you're not willing to be the most dominant entity in your life, can you please destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pork, all nine shots, poison. Okay, I'm really beginning to miss Ryan now. Yay! Ryan T is the host now, it says. If Ryan T can get on. Ryan T, are you here? Cool, awesome. How does it get? Helen is like, his soul flies away and scatters a truth. What? Oh no, that's a question. Is soul flies away and scatters a truth or lies? Okay, so what do you know about that, Helen? What do you know? Are you a soul or are you a being? Are you an infinite being or are you a soul? Yeah, you're an infinite being. An infinite being has infinite choices and infinite possibilities. When an infinite being chooses to leave the body, they have the choice to choose either another body or another dimension or something else. Um, and it's just a choice. It doesn't go away anywhere. Okay? Cool. Awesome. How does it get any better than this and what else is possible? Okay. So I do have a question here on the chat that is like, whenever you're going to get on a call about entities or you've chosen a class with entities, if you have a capacities, all the entities tend to either come with you or they pop up because they're like, now finally she's willing to look at us. Now finally she's gonna, talk to us. So if you are experiencing anything on your body, you may want to ask if this is an entity. And if it is an entity, you may want to tell that entity, hey, I still don't know how to deal with you. So maybe you want to come back when I know how to deal with you. Or if you've done your foundation, you may want to clear the entity. But just acknowledging it usually lightens it up, okay? And I believe Ryan has got hijacked by his grandmom and some entities. I hope not. Oh my God, I hope not. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna message him and see if he's coming back on. Other than that, if you guys have any more questions, could you? Yeah, there's one question. Yeah, yeah. Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. I'm Hattie from China. I have
Hi.
a question. Yeah.
Yes.
If we meet such a situation that you're facilitating somebody, or for me, I'm translating, and I cannot get online, probably it's because of the entity. So what can we do? How can we deal with this?
You mean like
The internet doesn't work
yeah,
because of
yeah,
the
yeah.
entity
Also,
thing.
so thank you for bringing that up. Entities actually try to get our attention by playing with our electrical systems and the internet because it's very difficult for them to move solid stuff like physical stuff. So when that occurs, and especially on an entity call, you want to be like, just before you get on the call, you want to ask them to give you space. You want to like expand yourself. It always helps.
Yes.
Which is what we did even like with Ryan, and I can see Ryan's back on. Ryan, everybody thought you were hijacked by your grandmother. You were talking about her too much. She was like, and so yeah.
When I listen back to the recording, whoever made fun of me, I will kill you.
I wanna ask you something. We can't hear you at all. You're lagging so much. I wonder how many entities you came back with. Like you just went like all alien and robotic on us. I wonder who you come back with. Hey, they have to pay me to be on this call.
All right. So, what are you all up to?
So I was just like asking people if they had questions around entities. There's a question here, Ryan. Someone said entities' energy is exhausted and entities need to refill energy. Is that true?
Okay.
Is this where we tell them you'll have to come to a class?
Are you? Well, she did I think she had done a talk to the class with someone else, I believe. So let me be the bad cop for a moment, and I will handle this a little bit. And also the previous question, I saw the last one that asked question. I love to torture her. all of you that you keep thinking you have a problem in your life because of entities, I have this question for you. How much do you love to blame it on the entities? What have you been creating, and how many entities have you been inviting to create those shit so that you can keep blaming them? That's my question for you.
Everything that is can
I'm the bad
destroy
cop.
energy.
I don't have a good answer for you. That's it.
Right, wrong, good, bad, what for call 9 shots, boys in.
No, they love it.
Okay.
Okay, you have to ask yourself this question. If entities keep coming up as an issue for you non-stop, it's because you are creating it. If it happens once in a while, yeah, you can say not your problem. If it continuously happen, number one, you are creating it. Number two, you are creating it. No, that's number one. Number two, you refuse to step up. You refuse to be more aware, projecting some awareness, and that entities just come. That entity's problem is just a way the universe is knocking on your door. Hey, something here you need to look at so that you can grow up, step up, but unfortunately you refuse. Okay, but for second one, it's a bigger conversation. But for the first one, if you have been always creating entities problem, ask yourself, what do you love about having problems with entities? Okay, so everything that brings up times a gazillion, will now destroy and create it all. Right, wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 9 short spoils and beyonds. I don't mean you cognitively love it. With your mind, of course, you will say, no, I don't love it, I hate these problems. But if it keeps coming back, because you unconsciously love it, you have decided that's something that you desire, you love, or whatever. Okay, so get clear about that, work on yourself, keep asking yourself, what do I love? I'm done.
Yeah. And also, like, there is someone saying they can't hear you, but actually we can hear him. Pooja, maybe you want to just check your audio.
Blame it on the entities.
So I do have another question on the chat here. What are the signs they give? So Neha, it is very individual. Like, there are certain signs which we talk about in the class, and then again, the entire class is about giving you the space to figure out what are your entity signs. Okay, so like, how do they communicate with you? What happens to your body when they're around? That's something that's like, in the class itself, we do a lot of energetic exercises, we do a lot of clearing exercises, we do a lot of communication exercises. And there is like your step to start actually discovering, okay, what are the signs for me? And they keep changing as well. As you go forward, they keep changing. So it's not like the same all the time. But yeah, that's like the first step, is to like just actually perceive what are the signs for you. Cool. Awesome. We do have another question there. Is the mind an entity? Ekta's asking, is the mind an entity? I want the bad cop to take this on now. He's totally in his groove. Come on, bad cop. Let's shoot.
Well, I don't have a bad answer for you. I will be nice for the first time ever in my life. If you check dictionary for the meaning of entity, everything that can be defined is an entity. So if you can say my mind, so you have your mind, I have my mind. If you can put it that way, you know what is your mind, or even though you can't really touch it, it's an entity. But two different things. We are more talking about the spirit that used to have human form, human body. Well, they still have human form now, just not in a physical form that you can touch. If you can see them, and they will still have the same personality, they will still try to do what they used to do. So that's the entities that we are mostly talking about.
You said that Earth is also an entity and nature is also an entity. Do they have the crucial part into this, or it's only about the human body, entities?
So like Ryan said, anything that you can define is an entity. So anything that has a definition and a consciousness of its own is an entity. So by that virtue, actually everything is an entity.
So so nature or plants you have at your home,
Yep.
or everything, they communicate with you, or they want your contribution that's you stuck somewhere around them.
Are
Is
you?
that so?
What do you know? What do you know? Have you ever talked to your plants? Have you ever like been next to a tree and received something, some energy? Like, have you ever experienced that on your own? Like, have you?
Yes, I love to be around plants, and when they grow, I really like it. And new leaves come, when flowers come, I really appreciate and admire. Matlab, my plants are like my life.
Would you like to do an exercise? Maybe whenever you can after this call, is like actually go, like just go next to your plant and like be grateful for them, and then just see what you perceive. Like when you are grateful for them, what do you perceive? And since you said you've done this before, if you remember what you perceive, just because communication doesn't look like the way Ryan and me are talking to you, it's not that it's not communication. So truth, are you receiving communication from your plants? Are you communicating to your
Yes.
plants? Cool.
Yes.
So is then would it be also right to say that you do know how to communicate with entities?
Yes.
Awesome. How does it get any better than this? Would you be
Yes.
willing to
Right.
pay me
Why
and
does it get
acknowledge that? Yeah.
Or maybe you just or do you just want us to tell you how great you are? Do you just want validation from us?
I'm happy to provide that. You just have to pay me a little extra on the side.
Trust you. This is something that. Oh yeah, I will offer that as well. And during this pandemic moment, there is a 20% discount, right? So no, talk about that.
So what is our
So
ad going to be?
there are
Are you
people that
feeling low?
they
Do you
talk
want
to.
someone to tell you how nice you are, how great you are, how pretty you are, how sexy you are? So call us. You pay us, we'll tell you all of that. I'm joking.
1-800 validate me. That's the number for you to call.
Guys, I was joking, but no, I'm serious. If you need validation, just call me. Cool.
Okay.
Sorry,
So
Ryan. I'm sorry. What were
there
you
are
saying?
people. No. That's totally fine. We are never serious anyway. Uh, uh, well, some people talk to animals more. Some people talk to plants more. Some people talk to ghosts a lot more. I find that people that don't like to talk to real people. If you don't like to talk to a real person, you hate socializing with people. Very likely you talk to ghosts or animals or plants, and you love that a lot more. But talking to animals and plants are very different than talking to a ghost. Because if you talk to a real, they are real. If you talk to a ghost, they still have human characteristic. Or maybe they are still stupid, they are still unaware, they are still judgmental. All of that. And of course, they can be brilliant as well. But if you talk to plants, it's way easier. The plant doesn't care, are you married or not? The plant doesn't care what's your skin color. The plant is like, receive me, receive me, receive me. Yes, I receive you. And animals pretty much the same. Unless they are hungry, they might eat you alive, but that's a different story. So, and I had one participant, she attended my Talk to the Entities class, and after that, she told me her dog listened to her more. So you know, when you tell your dog, some people they are not good with.
Did Ryan freeze? Ryan's frozen, right? Yeah, he froze, and then did he drop as well? Okay, cool. Okay, we'll wait for Ryan to come back on, but I can complete that story for him. So what he was trying to say is that there are a lot of people who have also benefited. Ryan is the host, thank God. He would have shot me for completing his story. Yeah, he's here. You know, Ryan, your display pic did like a flip. You went upside down. Swear to God, I thought you were a ghost.
It is did that. Entities kidnap me, turn my world upside down. They are vicious.
I think it's your grandma. I think she is just like having way too much fun with you on this call.
Well, I will tell her, keep trying, I don't care. So, all right, so what was the last thing I talked about? Yeah,
you were completing your story about your participant who could speak better, like her dog started listening to her.
Yeah, so so after when you tell the dog to sit, sometimes the dog doesn't really care, but after the class, you see, when you are able to talk to entities, it basically means you can energetically communicate with anything, because entities, they are just energy. You don't really communicate with them with words or your voice. It's about the energy that you send to them. So I guess after the class, when she talked to her dog, telling the dog to sit or stand or whatever, the energy matched. She said it with the matching energy, and the dog got it, because animals, they function energetically. If you give them the clear energy of what to do, they get it. So that's the side bonus, the additional bonus for doing talk to the entities.
Yeah.
So,
so I guess we're like up on the hour as well, and we've like shared our journeys with you. Before we end the call, we'd like to tell you that Ryan and me have an online Talk to the Entities beginning class coming up. We start on the 21st. This is going to be a 7-call series. Each call will be 1.5 hours. And the dates are 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and then 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. And the timings for the call is 9 p.m. for India and 10:30 for Indonesia. And for other countries, I'm sorry, you'll just have to check on the clock time and the world time clock. Of course, like if anything about this call interested you, and if you thought that Ryan was exceptionally cute today, you might want to hop on and deep dive into this journey. If you think you have a capacity and you'd like to explore more, join us. We begin on the 21st. You can PM Ryan or PM me, and Ryan can also inform us about our... Anything else, Ryan, that I'm missing about this? Like this class is also getting translated into Bahasa, right?
Into Bahasa, into Indonesian.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
should I say, if you enjoy being tortured by the good cop, bad cop approach, join us. I will give you the answer that you don't like to hear, but you need to hear, and then Sangiita will make you feel more comfortable, like, yeah, you are right. You are not wrong. There's nothing wrong about you. And I will tell you, no, it's your creation. Don't blame the entities.
No, but honestly, on a not so serious note, if this is a topic that excites you, or you're curious about it, or even if there's a lot of fear around it in your world, you may want to choose this class. Because the worst case scenario, you'll get rid of all your fears around ghosts and spirits. And that in itself is freedom. Other than that, everything else is a bonus. Everything that Ryan shared, everything that I shared, just a bonus. So if you don't want your life to get easier, you don't want your life to get more expansive, and you don't want to receive more contribution from beings that you can't even see with your naked eye right now, or maybe some of you can see it but are just ignoring it, please don't join us, because we're going to have way too much fun. And
see, that's the good cop approach. Wait, that's the good cop approach. Let me do it. If you love being right with your problems, don't join.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks. So those that just fell in love with Ryan, please come. Those that fell in love with me, please come. Or not, it's fine. Okay, you are going to get both the flavors in the class. So How does it get any better than this, and what else is possible? Cool. We'll have the details up on our Facebook pages.
Okay, I will give you a suggestion.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just want to say something. It's not something serious, but if let's say you like Sangeeta and you don't like me, when I talk, you just remove your earphone or something. Okay, when Sangeeta talk, you put back your earphone. That works as well.
You mean like how I do it when you are talking?
Yes.
Okay, guys, I think we've had way too much fun. This is a huge topic, and I can see that most of you were here to just like kind of dip your feet in because there were not too many questions. But like, if it kind of excited your bones anywhere, or you got like, oh, maybe this is something I want to do, or even if you get like, oh no, this is not something I want to do, give us a call and we'll see you in the class. Okay. Cool. Bye, guys.
Yes.
Bye, Ryan.
All right. So, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye,
Thank you.
Sangeeta.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.